Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do some basic regressions using Excel. The first thing you need to do is enable the data analysis pack within Excel. So to do this, we're going to go to File and then Options. After that, we're going to click on Add-ins. And down here, where it says Manage Excel Add-ins, we're going to click Go. We want to enable the Analysis Toolpack, and while we're at it, just enable the Analysis Toolpack VBA as well. Hit OK. Now, when you go to the Data tab on the ribbon at the top of the screen, you'll now see a button that says Data Analysis all the way here on the right. So we're going to click that. Now, what you'll see are a bunch of options that you can do. We're going to come back here in a minute. We'll hit cancel for now. So I've loaded up our data set of 100 random Indiana residents between the ages of 18 and 54. We're going to do some regressions using this data set. Before we do any regressions, we need to prepare this data. So I'm going to show you how to make a dummy variable in Excel. A lot of data that you will get is going to be coded. For example, if we look at the sex variable right here, the codes mean 1 for male and 2 for female. If we look at the race variable, we have 1 for white, 2 for black, and so forth. Education is the same. Doing a regression on these variables by themselves is not going to give you any useful information because race is not a numerical variable. We can't make a regression and say, what does adding 1 on to race mean, because that's not applicable. So what we need to do is transform these into something usable. So let's take race, for example. Let's suppose that we wanted to make a variable that indicates whether an observation is white. So we'll call this white. Now I'm going to use the if function in Excel. Click on cell C2. Now, how the if works is that we have to make a test. So if C2 equals 1, meaning that this observation is white, then comma, the next value is what this function will return if it's true. So we want a 1 there, otherwise a 0. Now I'm going to fill this down for everybody else, and you can see now that any observation with a number other than 1 here is going to return a 0. Let's do the same thing for female. So in this case, we want if sex is 2, so equals 2, then we'll get a 1, otherwise a 0. And we'll have Excel fill this down for us. Now we've created some dummy variables for our data set. Now we're ready to run a regression. Let's suppose that we want to know the impact of age, sex, and race on income. So how we're going to do this is use our new dummy variables. To run a regression in Excel, we're going to need to move all of our explanatory variables into a single block. So since we're going to be using white, female, and age, I'm going to move age to the blank column age. So I'm just going to copy and paste that. Now we're ready to go. We're going to go back to data analysis, click on regression, and now a new window will come up. We need to tell Excel which pieces of data we want it to use. Y is our dependent variable, so this is going to be income. So I'm going to highlight these cells And since I have included the label, I want to click on labels here. And then we're going to do the same thing for the X range. Now this works fine for simple or multiple regression. But as I mentioned, remember, when you're doing a multiple regression, you want to keep all the variables you're going to use in a single block. So I'm going to highlight all three of these columns. Now, when we run the regression, we need to determine where our output is going to go. So I'm going to have it go into a new worksheet that I'll call regression 1. Now hit OK. The regression results are now in a new sheet in our Excel document, and we get some tables telling us everything we need to know. We have our R² here, and then our coefficient estimates down here. I'm going to expand these out so that we can see everything properly. Now the first column is our coefficient estimate. So this is telling us that the white observations have, on average, 12,000 more income. Female have about 12,600 less income, and the income is going up by about $866 per year of age. The second column is our standard error. Third column is our t-statistic, which we're going to use for hypothesis testing. And then we have our p-value and the confidence intervals. And that's all you need to know for right now about how to run regressions using Excel.